So, ladies and gentlemen, to guide us on this journey, we have the privilege of hearing from Ms. Padmashree Shagrithaya, the Executive Vice President and Managing Director of Insights and Data, Global Business Line at Capgemini. Please join me in welcoming Padmashree onto the stage. With nearly 3 decades of experience, 3 decades, 30 years, more than 30 years, spanning into technology, data, and AI, Padmashree has been at the forefront of crafting award-winning solutions that empower organizations to unlock the true potential of their data. A true advocate of diversity, inclusion, and mentorship, Padmashree has also championed initiatives like Teens in AI, helping shape the next generation of tech leaders. So now, the stage is over to you, because it's not just work, it's also data. I have a very nice line for Padmashree that I thought about. And she's the woman who makes data look as cool as a Hollywood blockbuster movie. So put your hands together, everybody. Padmashree, over to you.
Thank you. The most important job that I have right now is to keep you all awake for the next 20 minutes. So that's going to be difficult, right? So I got to be loud, clear, whatever. So if you have your friends outside, please get them inside as well. So it gives me some kind of a motivation to continue on. So before I start, let me give you a quick introduction. I know she told quickly as to what I do. So I am Padmashree. I head this team, this group called Insights and Data for Capgemini India. What does this team do? We do everything. Me and my team work with clients across all industries, helping them to organize their data, bring the data together, make meaning out of that data, make it discoverable, do everything, and then to top it, the sexy or the fancy thing on top of it, to do analytics, data science, AI, and then the Gen AI that we are talking about right now. So this is what me and my team do along with our clients across the industries, right? After having said all these things, if I tell you all that one of my important job is being an educator, will you all believe me? You won't, right? You won't. Do you or you don't? Somebody respond. You do? Okay, great. So I'll ask you towards the end then why you believe I am an educator, but I will also explain why I'm an educator towards the end. Okay, so now having said that, I told you about data, analytics, AI, everything, and then we need to connect this whole thing back to the education, how is it transforming education, etc., etc. Priyanka, I think, was talking in the last panel about how data is becoming more key in the space of education. Very nice segue into this session, I thought. I don't know if you're still here in the crowd, but thank you. That was a good one, really. Having said that, maybe we should ask this question after November 2022, when ChatGPT was launched, right? You all know that very well, so I'm not going to be teaching you what it is, etc., etc. But I'm sure after that, it's been what now? Close to a little over 2 years since this was launched. Some of the important stakeholders of this education spectrum, if I can call that, right, which is the teachers, were super upset with the launch of data and the most important invention of data, which is the Gen AI and then the ChatGPT. They were super upset with it. You all know that, right? So you all agree with me as well. Why? Because they said, number one, it stops creativity. My students don't think, they come to this, they just write the whole essay by, ask the ChatGPT to write it and then come to the stage and then give it to me. So it kills creativity entirely, right? Second thing, they said, hey, you know what? They don't even give that attention span in the class is completely gone, because they know that whatever I ask, the question paper that is given to them, They can go back home and get the answer through ChatGPT, don't even have to think, don't even have to go through the books, textbooks, etc., but can come back and give me the answer. So it has killed creativity entirely, right? So creativity gone, attention span gone, what else is gone, right? So the worry is that the thinking capacity or even the IQ levels of kids were going down. These were some of the big allegations or pointers at all of Gen AI, and I take it as data to AI entirely, which has led to this whole thing of the current generation kids not being able to focus and not being able to think or do anything creatively. Having said this, yes, it is a true concern, right? But then there is always the flip side of this whole thing, and I actually talk about this regularly in many forums, as to I am somebody who thinks technology is for the positive impact onto the people, right? There is a whole lot of good things that this whole entire thing of data to Gen AI has brought to table, and especially in the space of education, right? So I'm sure all of you know what I'm talking about, etc. It's about bringing all the pieces together, right? How many of you have used Khan Academy? Yeah, yeah. And they have launched something newer one right now in the Khan Academy. It's called Khan Amigo, right? Khan Amigo is basically an AI support mechanism which actually helps every student to be able to guiding them basis their understanding, what are they powerful at, what are they good at, and therefore adapting the teaching mechanism to be able to help them understand the ultimate concept, right? So this is entirely data, insight, and AI running quickly on the Khan Academy digital network, right? Helping the students to do this. And this has shown huge success. You know why? As the learner, I wouldn't call that a child because even I do learning on Khan Academy today. As a learner, you're able to start typing it, it figures out the kind of mistakes you can potentially make and therefore guide you onto the right path. The kind of mistakes that I can make, or someone else sitting in the front row here can make, are very different. And our path of understanding is very different. This actually helps us understand, take me through the right path so that I understand this as well as the other person or the person who's extremely smart there. So that is one great example of how data, insights, and AI is being applied onto the education platform. There are two more that I close to my heart and something that I use as well, and I'm sure many of you use here as well, right? The second one I'd go to is Physics Wala, right? Physics Wala, if you've not heard about it, and the students sitting here should definitely go and look up on Physics Wala. It is an amazing platform, and of course the YouTube generated by them are brilliant, right? They have simplified the whole concept so well. But they take feedback, inputs from what is being watched on the YouTube, right? What is being watched? What is being watched more? Where do people stop? Where do people move forward faster? Which means where are they taking pauses to understand? Where are they taking pauses? Where are they speeding up so that the concepts are very easy for them to do? So on and so forth. There's a lot of data, insights, analytics being done to be able to render Physics Wala, the next video better to all of you the next time over, right? So there is huge work going on that. Again, data, insights, helping in education, big time. And the last favorite example of mine is Duolingo. And I'm on Duolingo as well, right? So some of you on Duolingo? Yeah? Brilliant one, right? It actually puts the path. I don't know if you have compared your Duolingo with someone else learning the same language. If you all have compared it, it's different. It's not the same. Right? Because it actually understands what are the concepts you're good at, what are the mistakes that you're making, How do you want to, what kind of changes or where practice is required for you all those pieces are taken in so that you move on the path of learning absolutely fast, right? So 3 examples, really powerful, I can keep going on, but all of these looking at the data generated by individuals and groups, right? The physics wala I said is not just individual, it also understands how the group dynamics work. What do people generally do, right? And then try to put it back into your personal learning, right? So great examples that goes on. But okay, great. So things are there, but how many people really go there and learn this, right? So few people put up your hand for Duolingo. I don't know how many of you continue with it. I'm sure you all stalled it somewhere, right? Few people have gone to Physics Wala, learned some things, but stalled it somewhere. And so is the case with others as well, right? So you don't really necessarily continue the education to complete it. So it's like, the horse has to come to the lake or whatever to have the water. You cannot push the thing, right? So at the end of it, you may think, yes, this is how it is, which is partially true, But there is some study which I thought is interesting, and I like the study as well, right? So therefore, I'm trying to bring this. Now, you all would know the bell curve. Most of you are in organizations in some form or fashion. All of us have seen the bell curves. We are impacted by salaries in our organization. I'm sure it is the case with many others, right? But if you will put the entire student groups, right, into the statistical thing of bell curving, yeah, you're all with me? Bell curve, right? You will see that it is a 2 sigma bell curve where most of the people are in the center, which are average students, right? Studying in an average manner, would easily get 60, but then tough for getting 80s and 90s, etc. And then there is this, the last side of the thing, the right side of the thing, where people are extremely intelligent and, get really well. And then the other side, which is, very difficult to struggle and move on. Somebody did this study, and you know what? If every single student in this world is given a individual, independent, one teacher per student is given to every single student, right? This whole bell curve is going to move to the right side. You know what is on the right side, I said, right? It is the intelligent kids. They have shown that in a control group that this entire bell curve of students actually shift to the right side, and this becomes a steep Six Sigma curve kind of a thing. If you all statistics, if you understand, right? So what basically in simple language is that most students will start performing very well if you give an individual teacher for every single student, right? So that is the power of insights and data. And now this is putting it back to your Duolingos, to the everythings of the world that I talked about. If we, and I know some of you are educators sitting here, and I have huge respect for all of you, right? If you all really adopt, right, and we have one teaching assistant per teacher, right? And you can actually take it to the last mile of giving it to the last kid in the government schools, in the villages, and etc. And this digital platform can be converted into individual teacher for every single student. I think we will have a very high IQ'd, country, right? Taking all of us towards this side, right? You all agree? So this is the power of data and AI, and therefore putting it onto education, right? So all these talks of creativity, back to the same point that I was talking to you all about the ChatGPT. All of these teachers have now started adopting, at least in the cities they know that their kids will go back and use it. And then, therefore, what is more important right now is to inculcate critical thinking and problem solving in our kids, and not necessarily test them on how much they are able to memorize and come and write in the exams, right? So that shift in thinking is already happening. And I think personally, as I said in the beginning, right, all of these that we are doing, right, so the data and insights and the Gen AI and then the Chat GPTs of the world is only going to help us get better, improve the IQ, improve creativity, everything of our children as we move forward. And it is a big boon for all of us on the education side. Now, I know I talked to you all about in the beginning of the thing, I introduced myself. I also said that I'm an educator, right? I said I will tell you all why I am an educator, right? Let me come back to that topic having said this, right? So why I gave that pause in the beginning saying I'm an educator and I'm bringing that topic back right now is to tell you all that it is not just in the world of digital platforms that we are talking about where data and AI is being used today, but it is being used beyond that also. So I thought some of the real life examples, such as what we go through in businesses, can help you all to open up the thinking process, right, in a different direction as well. Now, in the process, I may be letting out some of my secrets out. So, but that's okay. I know some of you all will be sleeping, so I can just slip through, and you can not remember it as you step out. So it's okay with me, right? But back to the thing. Now, I'm in the business of services, right? So we help our clients do a lot of things, right? So what do I mean by services? I have people, right? I have tens and thousands of people with me who actually work for various clients in various industries, right? Now think of what has happened to data and AI in the past few years. It's always been the case, but look at it, right? So a person who had learned C++ as a language, and I'm not just talking data and AI, but across technology, C++ earlier, then had to learn something called Java, then had to learn something called Python, then had to learn something called PySpark. This transformation in the business of technology and data and AI has been like this, right? So it's been really going on really fast from one to another to another to another, right? So if I today say, I need somebody with 5 years of experience or 10 years of experience in PySpark, right? Where am I going to get those people here? I don't have them anywhere. Nobody has that experience, right? So I really need to, but then my client problems are very, very big and can't be solved by somebody who has just learned PySpark yesterday, right? Or somebody who's learned something else yesterday. So what I need to do is to help my entire set of tens and thousands of team to be able to upskill themselves quickly and be able to reskill and move on to the next topic of, be it PySpark or be it Python or anything that we are talking about, then on top of it, Databricks or whatever, Azure, blah, blah, blah. So how do I do this? How do I do this, right? And you all also know that if you're in this business, you can't allow people to be learning all the time, right? So I really need to figure out a faster way of getting people to learn and move on and start working with the clients, right? I use a lot of data and insights here. I need to figure out, okay, number one, what is my demand going to look like, right? In the next 1 year, is the demand going to be in which of the skills that I'm talking about, right? Is it going to be Azure Data Lake? Is it going to be blah, blah, Python, PySpark? I need to first figure out. I use data and insights to first say, hey, how is my business going to look like? That's easy, solved. Now, having said that, I know while my demands are going to be in PySpark, my team is sitting in Java, right? How do I do this, right? So I need to give them a personalized training path that I talked to you all about just a little while back to say, hey, if I know Java, how easily can I quickly move to PySpark, right? But whereas, as against a person who knew C++, right? How can that path look like? So every single individual path of the employees sitting with me, I'll need to figure out and say, hey, this is the fastest path for you to move from Java to PySpark or from C++ to PySpark and so on and so forth, right? So I will need to individualize each of these journeys. There comes data and AI, so this helps me to do that, right? Of course, there is Copilot and et cetera, but that is all not going to help because you really need a human in the loop, and we will need to empower our teams to be able to do that, right? identify who are the ones, and how do I ensure that this path is the fastest, right? So for a Java person, it may take a week. For a C++ person, it may take 3 days. I don't know, right? So I'll need to predict all of these. So there is a lot of prediction, data prediction that goes into helping my team to be able to upskill and reskill themselves to be able to deliver to my clients. And therefore, I'm an educator, and I continuously think how this data and AI can help me and my team to be able to help upskill and get and deliver to our clients. Make sense? Yeah? So there's a lot that's going on. So I know I have just 1 more minute to go. Maybe I should take a pause and ask for some questions from all of you, meaning any one of you, anything you can just feel free to ask me any questions if you want.
Such a hot topic, everybody. Any questions?
Looks like I've... Thank you for some people.
On your left.
On my left.
Yeah.
There I go.
I thanks it. That was really nice of you to put the way you shaped the entire picture in the context of data and its importance in not just in the context of learning, but also from an organizational lens or teams, right? Even though it's so fundamental, it's a shift from a lens of being data-centric in terms of how you operate, whether that applies to teachers or trainers. And in the context of organizations where people are non-technical, how can this shift be easy? How can this be seamless?
Good. Okay. So I was just trying to say where to start it, right? One is, data, I talked about a couple of platforms right now, right? So definitely Khan Academy has a lot of those areas where you can pick it up and start with it, right? But it's very important for people to understand holistically what kind of data is your business generating, right? So I'm thinking not necessarily from a student perspective, because for a student journey, the colleges teaches them where to start, how to go, right? But we are actually talking about people who are already in some line of business, right? In some line of work, and then wanting to figure out how to move, right? You understand what you're doing the best, right? So the first thing is to ask this question, okay, fine, so what kind of data am I generating as we speak, right? So first understand what kind of data. So if you're in the business of marketing, you generate tons and loads of data about how consumers are responding to your marketing pitches. And therefore, that is the start point. And from that, you can start figuring out, okay, so now this is my data. What can I do with this data? You can ask now, the chats and the perplexities of the world can give you all those responses to be able to move from there. But understand, first of all, what data are you generating in your day-to-day life, right? Which can become your tool then to be able to further your thinking process and move forward. Yeah? Did I answer your question?
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much, Padmashree. What an insightful keynote session that was. I promised you a blockbuster and you got one. A huge thank you to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for showing us how data and AI can transform the education system. We've got a lot of examples today. Now, to felicitate you, may I please call Dr. Amina to come on stage. We would like to show you our appreciation for being here. Thank you, Padmashree. Your expertise and vision have certainly left us with so much to think about and even more to act upon. Come on, everybody, let's give her a round of applause.